That man said, didn't leave. Didn't leave. Get that bread, no head, didn't leave.
How we get up, just call back, right back. We can spend, then get it right back, man. She just gotta want it all of that, so that's why I bought.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Jami, that's me here. Welcome back, welcome back. It's time for us to get into Married at First Sight. Is this episode 7, child? We'll get it right. Y'all will know what's going on. All right. This is the episode where it's time for all the couples to come together for dinner and share the ups and downs of the relationship. Right. So I want us to go ahead and get into it at the top of the episode. But before we do that, y'all know I have to request that you all like up the video. Okay. Let's help get the video through the algorithm. All right. Now, y'all kind of slipped a little piece on the last video, but shout out to those that did watch it and check it out. All right. So make sure that you're liking the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And also sharing. Sharing is caring. Okay, so do that for your girl. Thank you so much. And we're gonna go ahead and get into the next episode. I do believe we are on episode 7. At the top of this episode, we see Adam and Marissa, right? These two haven't really been giving me much of anything. It's really been, hey, babe, yeah, babe, this, babe, that. And they're finally starting to have some conversation. So we'll talk about it a little bit, okay? They're in the kitchen, they're cooking. I think he was making like a tomato soup and like a grilled cheese or something like that. And let me tell y'all, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I have not been featuring Adam, but I did feature a piece of that food because now I want a little bit. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm always watching something, seeing what people eat, and now I want it. But either way, Adam and Marissa are talking, and she says something about if they knew each other in college, does he think that they would have, or does he think they would have gotten married? And he was like, yeah, I think so because I've wanted to be married since I was 18 years old. Okay. So that's something that he would have wanted. And if they would have met in college, whatever the case was, then it's a possibility that they would have been married. But I kind of disagree with that. I do not agree with that at all. I don't believe that you all would have been married. Because if that's the case, you would have already been married. I don't know. That's just how I feel. I feel like you didn't find no other girl in college that you was that close to getting married to. I guess. I don't know. I'm like, we are this many episodes in, and I just feel like, when is Adam gonna really show? He kind of showed a little bit down to the dinner, and I'm glad that the professors kind of highlighted that. But when is he gonna really show up in the relationship? And as much as he and Marissa walk around like everything is so great and they're so in love and oh my god, I like this, they really not really getting as deep as the other couples are. They just really staying on the surface. I don't know what that's about, but okay. Um, Let's keep going. So either way, he tells her that he didn't like being single and that he's really a relationship guy. I disagreed with that as well because I said if you were so much of a relationship guy, then why did Dr. Bronson have to tell you to call that girl that you had been seeing for some time now, right? Why and break it off with her because you're about to go and jump into this. I feel like you had been dating that girl long enough to want to be in a relationship with her actually, and you didn't want that. I could have sworn he said he had been dating her for like 2 months or so. I feel like that's enough time. That's enough time to decide whether you want this to be like a serious relationship or not. Okay. So Adam, the verdict is still out on you, honey. He asked her if she thinks it's going to be an issue with her drinking or something, like him not drinking and her being a person that drinks in the marriage. And she was like, no, I actually think it's going to be good for me. So does that mean that you drink too much? IDK, I also would like to know, has she been having those naps, right? Remember she said she likes 3-hour naps. Has she been taking those 3-hour naps or has she been getting her butt up and hanging out with him? How has that been? I guess we'll see more as they continue to live together. So he says that she feels like, or at least she says that she feels like they're in the honeymoon phase, right? And she's wondering whether or not they're being their most honest and transparent self. And he said, well, I am, I guess. He says he is, but he feels like there may be some things that, maybe she's holding back with because he feels like she just really goes with his flow and she does. I don't know why that is. And I feel like that's part of why there is no friction in their situation because I don't know, maybe she just doesn't want to mess up her Disney moment with this man. And so she's just gonna go with whatever. And she's like, yeah, I just want to see what else you're gonna do next. Where you gonna lead me to next? Like, I'm just here with you. Like, what you want to do? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do this or that. Okay, cool. I think that does kind of work out for Adam, that you are that type of girl, that you're willing to just get on the jet skis and hang out with him all the time and be in the woods just a little bit, or wherever he is living off the lake. Okay. On top of, oh, I'll pickleball all day over here, over there. So I don't know. I hope you don't regret that. You sitting, because I feel like if there is an issue and you're not saying anything, you're kind of setting the tone and the standard for how the relationship is going to go. So then when you do try to say something at a later time, it's going to be a lot of friction because you never made it an issue before. So either way, good luck, girl. Now, let's go ahead and get to Tori and Felipe, because she talks about getting anxiety after they had sex and how she's an avoidant in romantic relationships, right? But she's working through it with him, and she feels like that's a big deal for her because I guess typically she'll just run or something. So the fact that she's still sticking it through, she thinks that's a good thing. Okay. Now, this is the moment where everybody is getting ready. They're getting themselves together and ready to go to this big cast dinner. So you have Belle Jolie and Becca. I'm sorry, Mecca. I might end up calling him Becca, honestly. But Mecca, he's now being more affectionate with her, is what we're learning. He's like, yeah, I don't know if it came from the conversation we had the other day when I was talking about the percentages and who's into who more. But I do feel like if I don't initiate a kiss, then we're not going to kiss that whole day. And I said, exactly. Good for Belle, because I was wondering whether or not she was going to actually step back up out of this. Like she said, I'm going to fall back and let you take the lead. And it seems like she may have done that. Seems like she has. And now he's being more affectionate. Now he's stepping in, initiating the kisses. When they were in the bathroom, I think he kissed both of her hands and then kissed her lips. And I said, oh, okay, then. So maybe he does like her. I think there was a time where we may were like, okay, I don't know about this. Right? He likes her, of course, not as much as she has liked him. And then maybe he just doesn't know what to do, because I do believe he mentioned something about not wanting to mess things up. Right? I also often wonder if his dad has, how his dad may show up now versus how his dad showed up when he was much younger. You may get two different things, okay? I wonder if the dad, when Mecca was younger, made him feel like he was an F up a lot. Like, did the dad project a lot of that onto Mecca? Right? Because I'm just thinking about his security level, him always not being sure of himself, and just thinking he's gonna mess shit up and stuff. Are they not gonna be satisfied with me? And as much as it has something to do with him feeling a way about women leaving his life, I feel like it has something to do with that daddy. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I really do. So has your dad told you you were a fuck up, or like what? What's what? As to why you think the way that you think. Yep. But I'm glad to see that they are moving a bit. He's doing better in the affection department, I will say. Next, we got Nikki and Courtney. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I am so sick of Courtney. Can I take a drink today? Just a second. Let me just get me a little ginger ale, child. I'm tired of Courtney. I cringe. She says she likes Nick, but I really don't think that she does at all. And I feel like when you often overly critique the person that you're with, you don't like them. Okay. Or maybe you just don't like yourself. So you got to sit up here and critique somebody else all the time. It's something about, I'm tired of Courtney. So Nick puts on this chain. He's in the mirror getting his stuff together. And when Nick put this chain on that he says he never wears, I'm not going to lie, it definitely took the outfit, as simple as it was, to a slight bit of a different level. I said, I like that. I like that. Okay. It was given a little bit, I want to be cool to cool kid a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It gave a little piece of swag there, just adding a piece of the chain. Now, without the chain, it still looked nice, I will say. But I like that he added that piece. And he was like, oh, wow, that looks good. Da, da, da. So he in the mirror, and she was like, oh, you're talking about yourself? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, well, let's calm down that ego or something. It's like, and that's probably how she banters, but she's annoying. Okay, so they discussed the group dinner, and Nick says that they're going to start seeing some cracks because he feels like they will all be sharing what's going on in their relationships and getting their thoughts from other couples and stuff. So He thinks it's gonna be a lot, and he not wrong. Okay, obviously he done did enough reality TV for him to know. So she asked if he's going to ask them on how to make her more physical. Are you gonna do that? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, he's like, and just so you know, I am completely okay with where we are. Like, that's like fine. If that's something you're worried about that I'm thinking about, I'm not thinking about that. Right. But then ask her, is like physical, like a thing with you? Meaning, like, has that been like an issue in your past relationships? Like, is it something about it as to why you don't do it or something? So then he says that he doesn't know anything about her past relationships, actually. Okay. And he seemed like he was about as confused in that moment as he was in the expert session, because that's what he said. Actually, he was like, I was kind of like confused when we were sitting in there with the expert, and I don't know much about your past. Yeah, Nikki hasn't really said a lot. You want to have this banter, you want to joke around. She don't really know how to talk. Like, you're not even really trying to get to know him for real. And I feel like the fact that he didn't really know about her past relationships said a lot. I mean, they did talk, but either way, she says that she hasn't had the best experience when it comes to the sexual side, right? Because she kept trying to relate what he was saying back to the sexual part. And he was like, it's not even about it being sexual, it's just like the physical, aspect. I think he was talking about affection and just whatever they talked about when they were in the expert room, because she went on this whole damn tangent and she kind of confused him because she kind of got off base or whatever. So he's just trying to understand. And that's exactly what he says. He's like, I'm just trying to understand. She says, yeah, but it's embarrassing. So she says she hasn't had good relationships with that, or experiences physically. And she says it's embarrassing. I can't tell her that it's not embarrassing. That's on her. That's how she feels. I don't think it's embarrassing. I think it's just causing you to be in a space of vulnerability that you do not want to be in. It's causing you to show a vulnerable side that you do not want to show right now. That's what's going on. So yeah, I would think that it's more of that than embarrassing, but okay. So he says that he's the type to show PDA based on his past relationships and stuff, like that's how he is, but he wanted to know about her relationships and how she shows up with PDA and stuff. And so she talks about being super needy back then, to the point that I guess she was so desperate to have somebody that she didn't even care if they played her, cheated on her. She just did not care. She wanted to be the center of attention for that person, but you can't possibly be the center of attention for that person if you sitting up there letting them cheat on you with other folks. Like, what? It really was giving, you'll take any piece of attention that you can get, not the center of it. All right. So then she became nonchalant to the cheating, she says, as long as she could take care of herself and stuff. And she was like, yeah, I got cheated on, and I allowed it because when she knew he was over there doing his thing, it was like, okay, cool. Long as, I get to lay next to him at night or whatever. She just, it was what it was. And so awkward silence happens as expected. And she was like, I don't really like that. And I'm like, I get that you don't like that, but you know what else you do that I really don't like, okay? Even when somebody is talking to you, when he's talking, you stay cutting him off. You always, like, I feel like you worse than Nikki, okay? With trying to assume what the person finna say. Like, you just you stay cutting him off. It's so, I'm sick at this point. It's difficult because it's not like anything Courtney does is probably gonna get on my nerves. So Nick asked her if she's ready for a romantic relationship after think, because she's like, oh, this is too quiet. Like, let's talk, say something, And as he's taking in everything she's saying and probably reflecting on how she be treating him, he like, are you ready for a romantic relationship? And she's like, yeah, like I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. Okay, so it's giving you were ready for a romantic relationship and you just may not be ready for that with him. With him. Okay. Okay. So she says that she wants to be more physical with him and she wants this to work and stuff. And she says there are barriers that are there that need to be broken down for her to really, go that far with Nick. I feel like what are those barriers that need to be broken down and who needs to break those down? Do you need to let your walls down? Because I don't think it matters what he does, honestly. And then we're gonna get to this dinner, and she's gonna say, I think she said something like every day she's getting more comfortable with him, or basically letting her walls down, is what she says. But then when you be throwing like little shots and shit, you don't give that. But okay, let's get to that group dinner that everybody is getting ready to go to. So we get to the group dinner, and you have like what the first two couples to get there were Adam and Marissa, Tori and Felipe. What I guess they did not know was Dr. Brunson and Dr. Paz were somewhere. Dr. Lisa is what I call her. They were somewhere. I don't know if they were in the building across the street or what, but they were watching everything as it was happening. They weren't too far behind, watching everything. Okay. Dr. Bronson is learning as they come in based on Nick's attire, based on the conversation they were having in that moment once Tori and Felipe got there. He says, I'm learning something about Adam, and Adam he moves to take control by any means. And I was like, yes, he does. And that's probably why, in my opinion, I feel like Marissa may sense that. And that may be why she just goes along. I don't know. That possibly not. But babe, can you taste this? Babe, can you check that? Babe, can you do like yes, that man loves control. I mean, of course, we already knew that. The moment he started talking about discipline, this and that. Yeah. hmm He sounds like the type that's going to require certain things of you that he's probably not even gonna do, but be thinking he's doing it. But either way, Caitlin feels better with Devin since they had to talk with Dr. Lisa. And they really, I was proud of how this went at this group setting. It seemed like they have been working on things and they needed that therapy session. And even after the show is over, if they're still together, I hope they continued a few more therapy sessions, child. Okay. So Nikki arrives by herself. Now, when they showed us the previews, I was thinking it was going to be Tori arriving by herself, but I'm like, you just never know. It was Nikki. Nikki arrived by herself. Okay. And the people asked her, where is Sean? She says, oh, well, he had a work thing. You know, he had something like that, like a work thing. He'll be here shortly. The doctors was like, we're not buying that. All right. We're not buying that at all. It's giving, he pissed me the hell off, and I got to come up with an excuse to get y'all out my business for just a second. We learned that they did have a double date with Becca the night before, and they did have conflict that night. She says, and she's talking to, I think she was talking to Caitlin and somebody else, and she says it like they have conflict, and the conflict just keeps coming. It keeps coming up. She says it's not how a healthy marriage should be, but it's okay. We're gonna talk about more of it later. They didn't spend much conversation on Sean and Nikki at the end. So much conversation I felt happened with Devin and Caitlin, Courtney and Nick. And I feel like it was Adam and Marissa, really. Was it those two? Or maybe it was Becca. Maybe it was those two, Mecca and Belle, that more of the conversation was spent on. But either way, Adam and Marissa start off, right? They're saying that they are absolutely vibing. That's what's going on. He feels like he could be himself with her, and Marissa says that she feels like the serious conversations are coming, but they haven't come yet, which is interesting because y'all been in this about 2 weeks. And everybody else is having some serious conversations as well as some serious conflict, but y'all over here still in la la land. I don't know. I mean, I feel like after 2 weeks, I'm like, that's kind of good. I feel like good for y'all that y'all are still really liking each other, but also not so good. Not so good. Have the serious conversations now. Cause like I think I can't remember who mentioned it. I think it could have been Nick talking about the time crunch. As a matter of fact, I think we're gonna get into that. So either way, they talk about how they want to have more fun now, then talk about the serious things, right? And they don't have a plan, but they just vibing through it. So Nick says that he likes the fun that they're having, and he feels like he and Courtney could have some of that fun too. And then Courtney says something like, thanks, Nick, or whatever. And it's like, what you mean? Like, I hope you are just joking. I hope that's a part of your bantering that I don't understand. Because let's not act like you haven't ran around here talking to all these damn different people about Nick. About the fun. So I'm glad he said the quiet part out loud to everybody, even though it wasn't that damn quiet because you had been running around telling everyone. So he's like, yeah, we could use some of that. But being that we're all on this time crunch, do y'all have concerns about learning each other deeper than what you have learned? And Marissa, not really answering his question, says, we're learning so much every step of the way, and we understand the seriousness to come. Okay, girl. Okay, Miss PR. Because you really didn't even answer his question in my personal, but okay. So Nick says he was expecting her to say something deeper about how thoughtful Adam was, right? But she didn't even, all they do is hunch, smile, and go to the next thing. So that's what's really going on here. They just zigmatized on each other. So then Courtney, when he's doing this talk outside, she blurts out her mouth saying that you might not have to think much deeper than, what Adam says or does or whatever, and being that he's the hottest guy in the whole group. Well, we appreciate your honesty, ma'am. And you always compliment somebody else over the person that you with. And the moment they were to bring somebody in on some Casa or more type energy, okay? As the moment they would have brought somebody else in to give attention to that guy, you would feel a way about it. You'll be trying to SHI your pants, girl. Cause one minute, oh, I like Felipe. I can talk to him for 24/7. I can talk to him 24 hours all day, 7 days a week. I really like Felipe. Felipe, no, 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 no. Now you over here saying to this man, blurting it out. Oh, it's not, much you can really think about when, I mean, he's the hottest guy out of everybody in the group. Oh, okay then. Now, if he would have said somebody else was the most attractive girl, Marissa, or somebody else was the most attractive, I hope you would have received that very well. I really do. So then he's looking at her like, wow, comment. She's like, oh my God, like you're still hot. Like you're my husband, like you're still hot. Da, 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 da. And so he's like, oh, see how she's trying to switch it? And she's like, oh my God. Like as if she was gonna make him the problem when it came out your mouth. Then she said, I think I'm in trouble or something. She said, yeah, you should be. Like, what? And I feel like for her to even make that comment, and I'm not saying just because you're in a relationship, you're not going to see people that are attractive or anything like that. But the way she let it roll off her tongue with the disregard for him makes me feel like she really does see him as just a friend. But she's trying to disguise it and hype it up on some, oh, I really like him. I want this to work. I really want it to be something. And now I'm starting to feel like, no, I just really want to stay in this process a bit longer. It's given, I want to have more camera time a bit longer. I want to be able to have the opportunity to hang out with Marissa and with Caitlin and see how things are going in their relationships. Like, Courtney I'm tired of her. So she tells the group that Nick shows up for her, but she's not a PDA type of person. And then she says that she doesn't want to hurt someone she cares about, and she cares about Nick so much. I think Nick was even sent over there looking confused, like, huh? Then she says sometimes it feels platonic. Didn't I just say that though? I forgot she even mentioned that. I'm thinking for you to even roll that out your mouth like that, you do see him as a friend. Okay. So she's like, sometimes it feels platonic, but I need that or something like that, she says. And then she says, this poor man tried to cuddle me and I wanted to run. And it's like you keep saying this poor man. I don't know how many times she's referred to him as this poor man. It's giving, hey Nick, it's giving Heisman. It's giving she's hitting the Heisman on you. And I'm really on some, Courtney, I need you to kind of like pick one. I just be confused. Like one minute you want him to be playful with you and throwing you in the pool and this and that, you know. And to me, I feel like that's like a form of affection. If that's what y'all like, that's how y'all play. Oh, throw me in the pool, da 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 da. But then you over here like, don't touch me, don't put your hands on me. Oh my God, could you get off me? I'm not a PDA type of person. Like, I'm so confused. And you had the audacity talking about if I got to hang out with this guy alone again, I'm going to shoot myself. And then what else? She said, like, oh, it's boring. I'm cringing. I'm trying to, but you're the one that's boring. He's boring too. But I feel like I about could hang with Nick longer than Courtney's ass. Cause you over here acting like you got all this personality and you slick don't got personality either. Okay? Child, I can't. Anywho, Felipe leans over and this was crazy. He leans over and asks Nick, how does it feel to be rejected by your wife? I said, whoa, whoa. So Adam starts laughing. And then Courtney laughs with him. Stop laughing. It's not funny. What? Girl. So Adam says he wouldn't say, no, I think yeah, Adam said I wouldn't say that she rejected it or something like that. And Felipe says she's rejecting the type of relationship that he wants. So then Nick is like, I feel like Adam though, I don't feel like I'm being rejected. Okay. So then Nick says that he feels like he understands her. Nick, no, you don't. But I can appreciate you trying to comfort her in this moment. Okay. Even though she's there to embarrass your ass. Okay. So that's what he says. He says that he also doesn't verbalize his emotions much, which I do agree with. Right. But I feel like you do a better job than her. And he says she's super good looking. You know, she's a great person. She loves people. And when I tell y'all, it he just seemed very genuine with the things that he was saying. And I said, damn, this whole time I thought Nick was probably gonna be the problem in this connection with him having a reality past. Okay. And the whole time, he just may be the okay person in it. He seemed like he cool. A mess. So then she was asked, what is she doing to get to the same place that he's at? And she says that it just takes time. It takes time. So then Sean tells her pretty much the same stuff that Dr. Lisa, I think, told her. So pretty much try different things, try to practice certain things that once over time, it's going to become natural to you. You may not want to do it. It's just like you're an athlete, you've trained, you've had to do things you didn't want to do when you first start out. And then eventually it just becomes natural to you. And he's like, it's really no different. Just start doing those same things. So he said something in a different way, but it still meant the same thing that Dr. Lisa said, right? With when she told them to take the small, non romantic gestures or something like that she told them, just start doing some stuff, like slow things to get to that space to where becomes natural for her, right? And she says, yeah, like I get it, but I don't need to fake anything, any type of repetition to get closer to him, because every day I feel like I'm closer to him. I feel like when you become closer with a person, you develop care for that person, and then with that care, I feel like it's just like maybe a little bit of protection of that person. And I appreciate her being honest in her conversation with the group, but then at the same time, the laughing in the face, like, I don't like how she show up. Because I just feel like the stuff that she did, if he would have did that, she would have made an issue of it. If he was over there laughing with Mecca or somebody, so she would have felt like he was trying to embarrass her or some shit. And he over here giving her compliments, praising her for the type of person she is. He get misty eyed over the fact that she care about people, and she didn't say none of the stuff that she really liked about him. Okay, so then Courtney says that they both have to be very confident. No, I think he goes on to talk about how he was confident first, right? He says he's very comfortable with himself. He's confident. Says that he doesn't think. Yeah, I think he's worked on his stuff over the years, that he has confidence. So that she busts out and said that she don't think that he's confident as he says he is. I said, what the fuck? What's going on, girl? So then Courtney says and it's weird because I would expect this from Nikki and Sean, who's beefing. Y'all not fully beefing. So what's going on? So Courtney says that they both have to be very confident and love themselves so much to grow together in the relationship, right? I said, Courtney is confusing this shit. She's just confusing me. So Marissa says, no, it's a difference between confidence and vulnerability. Okay. And then Mecca says that Belle is the female version of him, and she has unlocked a side of him that he thought he would have never seen. Right? He never knew that he could be so free. He says that he gets aroused by that, and people are like, oh my God, what, you aroused by that? And Becca, Belle is like, well, wait a minute. Let's be clear, honey, because ain't nothing go down. If y'all think that it did, it hasn't, and that's part of my problem. So she says that it takes him time, but it didn't take her long at all to get to that point. So she tells them about the percentage conversation that they had and him not being into her as much as she's into him, and that kind of made her feel away. She felt bad. So Tori felt like it was a great question to be asked. No, not really. It wasn't. So Belle says that she was more into him or whatnot. And somebody says, so you basically just friend zoned her. Damn. And that's when I think Mecca put his head down, like, sheesh. So Belle says that she's falling back, and now that she's falling back, he's giving her the affection and stuff that she wanted. But when she was giving him all of that, and this how you feel, and I fall back, now I got to get back to that place that I once was with you. Okay, and he got to sit in that, because ain't nobody tell you to say that to that girl. You chose to do that, so that's on you. Now we get to Nikki, right? Nikki tells Sean, listen, I'm trying to speak to this relationship without embarrassing you. And I'm like, yikes. The fact that you think he's gonna be the only person embarrassed is crazy. So then Michelle and Cameron, they're doing pretty good. They seem to be doing well. The doctors are impressed. Kudos to them. Devin speaks on Caitlyn. They seem to be, refreshed at this point. We see her touching him and stuff. So he talks about coming in a bit aggressive and how they left Mexico in a weird place, and he needed to self-reflect and realize that it's not just about him, it's about us. I said, exactly. I don't know if he was just talking his or what, but I loved what Devin said. I'm not gonna hold you. I just want to at least see it in action over time with Caitlyn, because the little things that he's done, like having her up to 2 a.m. with the damn conversation. Then when she gets up to the table because she's uncomfortable, she don't want to talk. He started fucking laughing. And it's like, it's just little stuff that he did. Like what? And then you also are very needy and clingy, right? And not saying that you can't cling to your partner. There will be times for that. But to act like that when you've had long distance relationships too, you could deal with not being up under a person all the time. Like, stop that. Okay? Either way, Caitlyn says that Devin hasn't had to work for the woman's attention. Clearly. So then Devin says he is an instant gratification type of guy, and it's definitely something to challenge him. And he says he is typically a runner, right? And it's challenging him to stay in the fight. So when things aren't going his way, he can't just get up and head for the heels. He got to figure it out, okay, and make things work. So good for him learning the lesson after that quick talk with Dr. Lisa. So Caitlyn says she's pushing herself to do things that she's never done before, touching him more, giving him compliments. That whole little moment they were having at the table, and he was like complimenting her because she was like, it's been very uncomfortable for me, but I've been overly complimenting you. And he was like, you're doing a great job. She's like, oh, am I? Tell me more. It was super cute. Not gonna hold you. I did like this. It seemed like some things have switched, but also it switched very fast. So we will just have to see. And maybe it switched fast because Devin recognized that, oh, I often show up like this in relationships. Maybe I can't, change it. Okay, so maybe they had another 2 a.m., 3 a.m. conversation and they figured it out. But either way, I did like what I saw. Tori and Felipe are talking. He tells her how happy he is with being with her, how respected, or how much he respects her. And Tori tells everyone that they got intimate. She's like, oh, we finna get out there. We finna be open. Like, I hunched on the man. I initiated it. Okay, she says, my mind was racing. I ended up sleeping on the couch shy. She said, I felt like it was too soon for us to be doing all of that. I had to let him know. And she says, one thing about me I'm learning is that I self-sabotage and I run. And I need to slow things down a bit, right? So he's taking all of this in. And after he hears it, he tells her that as long as they're good and they're trying, that's really all that matters to him. So then Belle asked about the fear they have as far as, each other or whatever. And he said his fear is getting in his own way and losing passion for her. I don't think she said what her fear is, 'cause I think that took her out. Like, damn, not you losing passion for me. So you don't trust yourself, but you said you'll never give her a reason to think that you'll ever do her wrong or whatnot. And now you over here. I feel like maybe it's a fair concern for him to feel fearful of losing passion because he's never been in a relationship like this. Because he has a lot of passion for her now, but he's afraid he could lose it over time. I think her giving him that part of her and then withdrawing it, and as much as she's saying it's not about him, I think it may be affecting him a bit more than what he's probably saying at this time. Let's get to Nikki and Sean because it's finally their turn, child. And Nikki says that Sean has a framing that isn't matching reality. Mm-mm. Now who I heard that from? I heard that from Caitlyn one time. Um, but I heard it from Caitlyn, but I think it was a different situation. But either way, she says this man has a framing that isn't matching reality. She says he's framing her as the problem and he's the stable base in the relationship. Let's keep listening because I mean, maybe she's not fully wrong, but it's also the fact that Nikki, you do be the problem though. And your problem is thinking that he's the only problem in the situation. Y'all both are a problem, girl. So then Sean says that he wants to provide the best soft life. She said, listen, we went out to eat with these people over here, Becca, the other night. And all I said was, I want to be able to provide the best soft life for my wife. Okay. And if she's ever feeling any anxiety or anything that she's going through, I want to be right there to help her through it. So he says that she's like, oh, really? Also, you think that I'm anxious? You think I'm an anxious person? I'm not anxious. I'm strong. I'm good. I got it. I believe him. I believe that that is exactly how that went. I think he says little things that may trigger her based on what she may have been through in her past or something. And she starts projecting, or it could be from the fact that I don't know. Maybe she likes him. I feel like she's starting to like him, but that physical attraction is still a problem for her. And she always got to create. I don't know what the hell Nikki got going on. Because some people also like to fight and be toxic to come back and hunch and all that. But these people ain't hunching, and I don't know what she got going on. Either way, Mecca leans up and brings up the theme of accountability, and he said last night was the theme of accountability. And I'm gonna be honest. He said, Nikki, have you been taking accountability for your part in the relationship? Because last night I heard a lot of attacking. I believe that number one, whatever Sean said, I believe what Mecca said, and the fact that Belle Jolie sat back and didn't even come in to defend her or say, well, no, babe, that's not how that went. And she just sat there and confirms for me that you probably was the problem that night, girl. It don't mean Sean wasn't, but it definitely means that you were, and you think that it only falls on one person. Okay. So when Mecca was bringing up accountability, Nikki nodded her head because she thinks that Mecca is about to agree with her that Sean should take accountability. So she says, yes, she's been working to give him grace. She says there is conflict that we never talk about and it repeats itself. And they're like, okay, what's the conflict? She said the conflict is not communicating effectively. She says, you can name the problem, but don't label me, because whenever there's a problem, he likes to label me as whatever, right? So Nikki tells them about the airport situation and how Sean pretty much called her crazy. And he says, I won't go into detail, but I was just repeating what she called herself the other day. Now, see, Sean, that's where you fuck up again for me. Because even if she did call herself that, that does not mean that she wants you to refer to her as that. There may be something you refer to yourself as that you don't want her to refer to you as that. Come on now. And then it was the other part where you said, well, I won't go into detail. Why? Why not? Why? Well, we won't go there. We can. We can. We can. You just went there just a second ago, didn't you? Then you just go there just so you could break down the whole story. You gave everything. You said everything you needed to say. You broke everything down about what happened the night before just so you can get your point across. But then now she's trying to get a point across, and it's, I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go into detail, but I was just repeating what she called herself. I don't think that was cool. Right? I said, this is what she's talking about. Just that little part there that you didn't take accountability. Okay. So then Devin says, both of y'all have y'all walls up and both of y'all think y'all right. I said, come on, Devin. I said, not Devin winning me over tonight. Not you winning me and Caitlin over. So Devin says, both of y'all have y'all walls up. Both of y'all think you're right. And you have egos. Baby, the way Sean started dismissing him looking at his phone. And I don't know if he was dismissing. First of all, he was dismissing him, period. Right. But also in my head, I'm like, is it just you dismissing him because you don't want to hear him check you? Or are you not necessarily dismissing him? But it's a mechanism that you're doing of, see, I told you, you know what I'm saying? More so towards her. Cause I feel like I've done that where I'm like, if somebody else is checking somebody that I had just told them the same thing, I'll grab my phone like, child, didn't I tell you that? I told her, but she don't want to listen to what child, okay. So I don't know if it was one of those or if it was you dismissing him. And maybe it was a little bit of both, because the fact that you wasn't looking at him, giving him no attention, maybe you was dismissing both of that. But because I feel like Sean has also told her we're both the problem. The fact that he told her we're both the problem, that's what made me think Was he picking his phone up on something? Didn't I tell you that? I already told her that. Now you got somebody else saying that. You can't even say that to me because I ain't even giving you no contact on that. I ain't even looking at him when he talking. So you can't even say that I'm encourage him to say anything to you that I have already told you because I'm over here in my phone. Right? But let me know your thoughts. So Nikki then goes on to list everything he does that gets on her nerves. Okay. So she's listing it, and then Devin asked Nikki, what does she do? Okay, so based on that, then what do you do to make him feel a similar way that you feel? And she says, oh well, then I just match his energy. Not always true. You don't always match his energy. Sometimes you may create the energy based on how you perceive the things that he says. Sometimes you take what he says completely out of context, and sometimes you're right about how he says it. Like when he words things a certain way, he could reword it, yes. But sometimes you do take his shit out of context. I believe that. And so Devin said, well, why are you trying to match fire with fire though? And so she says, I mean, sometimes we'll call it, sometimes we'll call it. Like one time I got up and I was like, I'm done with this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And then he tells me that I'm being aggressive, and that now he feels threatened. Right. And so Devin says he probably feels rejected. And then Nikki says, regardless, right? Because she doesn't like that Devin's not seeing her point. So she gets a little loud and she's like, regardless, I'm 5'5", towering over him, getting ready to leave. And so everybody else like, oh, no, she did. And then Courtney said, I'm not even gonna defend the height thing or something like that. She said, because that's wild. Girl, shut the fuck. Just like your comment you made outside was wild. Just like you sat up there and told this man that he ain't as confident as he thinks that he is. You ain't confident. Anyway, so all in all, Sean ain't saying nothing. After Sean said, I'm not going to go into detail, but all I know is I just said whatever she said. Sean said nothing else for the rest of the night. Sean, like, ain't got nothing to say. I'm shut up. Don't ask me. I don't know. Quiet. Quiet. Okay. Now the guys are starting to tell her, right? Yeah, no, I think the guys were still talking to her or whatever like that. So Adam asked if she feels like, she said, speaking of calling it, first of all, he tells her that height comment she said was unnecessary. Then he asked her, if you feel like calling it, then why don't y'all just call it in? Right? If y'all are calling it tonight, why not just call it? Sean, why the hell you trying to get people to call it so bad? Well, we not on the show to win a prize, a nugget. Y'all not finna win no prize. Like you always say, if I could kick somebody off the island, it'll be Devin and Caitlin. And then now, why don't you guys call it? What? Why don't you and your girl go deeper than what y'all doing? How about you go deeper emotionally than you are physically in her guts? Like, are you okay? So then Sean says it's not his DNA if he is it's not his DNA to not be a committed man. Basically, I'm a committed man. It's not in my DNA. So Mecca says there's no reason to call it at all because there's still so much room for growth and everything. And I said, exactly. So what is going on with Adam wanting to see people break up so bad? You want to be the last couple standing? Nugget, this is not Survivor. Like, are you okay? Sick of him. I'm just, ooh. I said, baby, when everything was over with, Nikki got up. She was the first one out of it. I said, baby, Nikki pissed. I know Nikki was mad. You know why Nikki was mad? Because none of the ladies stood in and defended her. And the men was checking her, telling her where she was wrong at. And the women being silent while the men kind of calling out some things made me, and I'm sure it made her feel like they agreed with what the people were saying. And outside of all of the ladies at the table, the main lady that witnessed what happened the night before said nothing because Belle agreed with Mecca. Nikki, you too are the problem. I don't care what nobody talking about. She is. Okay? She want to be upset and leave because she ain't had nobody having her back. Bye. Okay? I told y'all she be acting like she right all the time. And Sean does too. So I'm not saying Sean don't have his stuff because he has his stuff too. I'm highlighting Nikki at this time because she thinks the problem is only on one side of the relationship and it's not. So Nick and Courtney, they need to call it, talking about calling it. He wants to talk about the confidence conversation that she had or that she said, because he's trying to figure out what her insecurity is. And she says, maybe it was foul for me to say that because, maybe I used the wrong word. Then she tries to explain herself, and then she just confused the hell out of me and Nick. And then she started being dismissive and looking out the window. I said, if y'all don't pack this fucking woman up, if y'all don't pack her and her lack of January 5th as knowledge up, if y'all don't pack this, I'm tired of Courtney. I do not want them to continue to be married at all. Nikki says it was a shitty night. Yeah, it was a shitty night because it didn't go the way that you thought. While you sitting up there talking about, I'm trying to figure out how I can have this conversation without embarrassing you. Like he was gonna be the only one embarrassed. So she says that she has low confidence that this thing can get through. She says he misrepresented. You presented me in a shitty way. You represented yourself. And you misrepresented yourself. Like you did that. I don't even think he really presented you. All he did was talk about what happened the night before. Now, more specifically though, he should have taken accountability for calling you crazy. I don't care what she calls herself. I'm so sorry. You can't have a conversation and say, if my wife, I want her to have the best soft life ever. And if she is ever dealing with any anxiety, I want to be right there to soothe it, and turn around and call her fucking crazy. I disagree with that. You're fucked up. Period. And that may be what she was talking about specifically. I don't know. Sounds like you're talking about the whole night. I'm specifically talking about that moment where you lacked accountability for your fuck shit. And then you turned around and you excused it. Oh, I only called her what she called herself. Like, boy, you should have, right there in that moment, you should have apologized, in my personal. Okay. If you didn't apologize to her the other night, you should have apologized right then. Right. So either way, but don't think you still not getting on my nerves, Nikki. Okay. But she kept talking about how he presented her, and it's like he actually was quiet for majority of it. After he said that, he didn't say nothing else. That's the only thing he messed up on. But I feel like the other people coming at you is based on what they've observed about you, and maybe what they may have heard about the other parts of y'all relationship. Honestly, truly. Okay, so that was on them for how they felt about the situation. She says that he mischaracterized her to their peers. So now she's really upset that she was embarrassed. Okay, so he says he's been insensitive to her feelings. She asked why did it not come out, right? Why didn't he say that to everybody? He says that he says it did come out, but you heard what you wanted to hear, something like that. Why didn't it come out like that, or you didn't say it like that? And he said it did, but you heard what you wanted to hear. And she says none of that came out or whatever. And so before he could really get into, I felt like before he really could get into anything, after he said that comment, Mecca chimed in. So when Mecca chimed, no, before he made that comment, I think. Mecca chimed in, then she talked about the crazy thing, but you was already talking to Devin. And then he definitely doubled down, like she said. I feel like that was a double down. He doubled down on what he said. I only called her crazy because that's what she called herself. Like, so ignorant, in my personal, as a doctor that also don't wash his ass, is crazy. Okay. I don't think that was cool. Right. But it is what it is. She was upset about it. She felt like she was not presented very well to the group. And I don't feel like all of that is his fault. All right. Either way, Sean says he promised. This man is tired of her. So he's like, I promise you, I will not be arguing with you anymore. I promise. Just trust me. She was like, trust you? Trust you? You don't have any trust you? Trust you? He says, I'm the problem. You make everything about me being the problem true. And he says, and if I'm so much of the problem, I'm surprised you haven't figured out how to solve it yet. Yikes. How do you want her to solve it, Sean? You want her to fuck you? Because that's not going to help. That's only going to make it worse. So how is she supposed to solve it? Truth be told, she need to look at herself, though. Part of it is her looking at her inner self and figuring it out. And part of it is also you recognizing whatever fault you may have. But she definitely got to do her own inner work. So then she says, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't heal you. He said, well, you acting like you want because you stay diagnosing all my problems. You stay diagnosing me like you know what I'm going to say or how I feel. He not fully wrong. So then Nikki says the problem is him lacking accountability. That's true. Okay, she says, I'm not sure if, you can show up in the way that would make for growth and change, in this time frame. So he said, if you feel that way, then leave. You should leave. Why don't you quit? Baby, I'm with him on that. Not finna hold you. Not gonna hold you. You should leave. You should quit. Go then. That may not have been the nice thing to say to your partner, but if you keep making me the problem every which a damn way, and I'm taking accountability for a little bit, I know I did some shit, but to always make me your punching bag, cause you hearing what the hell you want to hear, and you over here trying to tell me you don't think, you said it more than one time, you don't think that I'm making space for us to grow and this and that or whatever. We gonna get to where we need to be in the time frame we need to be in. Then baby, go ahead on. I'm not gonna quit because that's not who I am. So make me feel better by knowing that you the one that quit it and I didn't. Okay. Either way, back at the apartment, she says she needs a break, but you can tell she kind of don't really want to leave, it seems like, unless she was forced to have that conversation. So he now tells her that he would like for her to stay. And I'm like, you would like for her to stay, but you just told her that she should leave. Which one isn't? Y'all both are such a freaking problem. And I do feel like America is tired. I cannot wait for y'all to sit y'all down on somebody's couch. And I mean quickly. I hate this video has been as long as it's been, but it was so much dialogue this episode. And this is just where we are. So if you've made it this far, please go ahead, give your girl a like, okay? Subscribe to the channel. All right. Share the video, all the great things. I am Jami, that's me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.